Hey audio people, welcome back to the channel. MrAyrit here. And today, I've been wanting to do this review for a long time because you guys know I'm a big fan of the 8XX, right? I think this is a great value in the market. You can pick these up around $700 used, and it's an 800S basically, right? Sounds really good, really special headphone for me, right? Really, I just think, its wideness, its separation, it really puts you inside the tracks in a way that I don't think a lot of headphones do. So the one that I've been curious about for a long time, at least since I've, come in contact with the 8XX, is its closed sibling, the HD820. And I really wanted to know if Sennheiser was able to capture that same magic that they did with the 8 series, but do it in a closed back, which would be pretty impressive. So that's what we're going to talk about here. Do they achieve that with the 820s? Okay, so first of all, let's cover real quick what the 820s come with, or at least what I think they come with. Again, these were loaned to me by a friend of the channel, so I'm getting them used. So there might be some slight differences in how they're packaged or the cables they come with and things like that, depending on who and when you get them and all that. All right, but they do come with a little bit nicer than standard box. This is actually a wooden box that these guys came in, and then inside of this guy, you've got typical Sennheiser cable. Okay, so you got a 1/4-inch cable, and you got a 4.4 balance cable. I think both of these are like a couple of meters or about 8 feet long. This one had, a little 4.4 to XLR adapter, but I don't think this is standard. I think that was something a little extra that came with it. So that's what's in there. Personally, I've just been using it with my triple win cable that I've got here that I use with my 8XX. It's a nice cable. It's simple. It's easy to work with, and it's shorter, about 6 feet long, which is perfect for me. So I'll link to that if you're interested in that. It's a pretty reasonably priced Sennheiser 8 series cable. I think it's maybe like $60 or something along those lines, and you can get some fun colors and stuff like that too. So on to the headphones. You will see that these have a lot of similarities with the 8XX or 800S, right? They definitely keep that same design language and overall style. There are some differences though. Obviously these are closed, so they're a little bit thicker. Like if we kind of set these side by side, you can see that the cups on these and the pads are a little bit thicker. The headband padding, I'd say, is just a smidge thicker as well. But all in all, they retain lots and lots of similar design features. And you can definitely tell they're siblings, right? So I do love the design of these 8 series Sennheisers. I think they're very cool headphones. I think they're very well designed. I think even though they're lightweight and there's a lot of plastic, they feel pretty well built. The really cool thing about the 820s here is obviously like the glass, or I'm not sure if this is glass or plexiglass or exactly what it is, that covers the driver here, and I'm fingerprinting it up. But that's something that, you don't see a lot on headphones, but I think it does, it helps it be recognized as an 8 series Sennheiser. You can see the driver in there, the cup style, all that stuff. It's all very, very similar and very cool. And I don't really have any complaints. It's easy to use. It's fairly lightweight. It's comfortable. I really have no complaints as far as the build goes. Now, it's my understanding that these are the stock pads, where there's like leather or pleather on the outside, and then there is like a suede velour material on the inside here. And I found these to be the best pads. Mine did come with some full pleather pads as well, and you can see these have a little bit different style, and they're easier to replace than on the regular 8 series headphones. So these ones you can just kind of like pop right off, so pretty easy to do. And then they just kind of snugly fit back in there. See if I can do that real quick here. Okay, so I do like the pad swapping system. But I think these stock pads, I mean, I obviously didn't have an exhaustive list of pads to try, but in my opinion, these sounded way better than the full pleather ones. Now, so let's get on to sound here as we're talking about pads and changes. And I had the only other real closed back that I'd have that it would even come close to competing with something like this on hand is the T60 Argons. And I would say that they don't come close to touching the 820s in detail and resolution, but I do really enjoy those headphones, and they contrast pretty well with the 820s. And then I just compared them honestly with the 8XX because I thought, I think a lot of people that are probably looking at the 820s probably have an 8 series Sennheiser, the open version, and they're wondering if they can get the same kind of a sound in a closed back. And to a certain extent, I think that's true. I mean, but I don't feel like the 820 really captures the same magic that the open Sennheisers do. It sounds more like a typical headphone, whereas I feel like the 8 series just sounds so open and big and so well separated that it really is something special. Now, for a closed back, these guys are big sounding. They do have a very large sound, a large sound stage for a closed back, but again, it's more normal headphone-ish as opposed to like the special stage that the open Sennheisers throw. I think as far as like just resolution and detail and cleanliness, these guys are right up there with the best closed backs that I've heard, which would include like the Stellia that I had not too long ago. I don't feel like these are quite as well tuned. So for me, I had to pull back the upper mids and the lower treble like a little bit. So I've got a Lokius, and I've been enjoying using the Lokius. And, I'm not a big EQ person, but I have been enjoying just having the option to tweak just a little bit. And I found pulling the 2K and 6K down, maybe about 20, 30 degrees on the Lokius really put these about where I wanted them to be, to where I didn't feel like it was, grating on me. In stock form, I feel like these come on a little bit strong in that region, and can make them a little hard to listen to. Although I do adjust to it fairly well after giving them some time. But that was my main tweak as far as the frequency response goes. So I don't think they're quite as well tuned as like the 8XX is. Now 8XX, keep in mind, mine is sticker modded, and that's how I like it. And I feel like the frequency response is really, really good on these once that's done. But the 820 just misses it just a little bit. What I did notice though is the bass response is quite nice on the 820s. It's well extended. It's got a nice impact to it, and it's got, I would say it's a bit tighter than the 8XX. So everything, just really everything on the 820 is a very tight, quick sound. This can be good and bad. I definitely like that in the bass, where you get a lot of texture and it's just really fast and tight. I appreciate that when it still has some slam. It's much cleaner bass than the T60 Argons or the 8XX, but I feel like for some of the other frequencies, it also kind of, when it's so fast and tight, it also kind of takes away some of the naturalness that you get with like decays of notes. And that's where something like the 8XX here, you really notice the difference in that it sounds just more true to life, I would say, in that you hear things kind of come and go and they fade out, whereas on the 820 it's a very like deliberate note come in, it happens, and then it's gone. You don't get that nice decay that you get with some of these nicer open back headphones, like the 8XX, or I've got several on hand right now, the Elites, I've got this new RAL here, and Verite Open. They all do that really, really well. And I understand we're talking about like totally different categories of headphones, but just if you want to know what you're getting with the 820, it's very fast, deliberate. You lose some of that naturalness that I think kind of sells it as being more true to life. But as far as detail goes, it's all there. I would say it's probably on par with the Stellia detail-wise, but the Stellia to me felt a little more natural, a little bit better tuned. Of course, the Stellia, you know, you can pick one of those. They're both kind of $2,000 headphones, right? But these guys I'm seeing on the used market now for much closer to $1,000 typically, whereas the Stellias are still, you know, over $1,500. So I think, like, I don't know. They're probably priced at $1,000. I'd say these are probably like accurately priced in that category, just as far as what they can do. Whether they're going to be the best closed back for you at that price point, I'm not sure. Okay. For me, I don't listen to closed backs enough to justify having one that is that expensive, I don't feel like. But I mean, if this is something you've been curious about and you like that really fast, tight type of sound, and you do want a little bit bigger soundstage for a closed back, I think that these are definitely worth looking at. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that these aren't more popular, especially now that you can pick them up for, you know, around $1,000 on the used market. Just the other 8 series Sennheisers have such a large following that I would just think that more people would want these just as a closed back something. I don't know. I'm surprised that it doesn't seem like they're all that popular because they're definitely not a bad headphone. They are very good, very technically capable, and just like I said, there's a couple of frequency tweaks that I think would make these make them work for me, and I'd be perfectly happy with them. But they're not something that I think I'm gonna buy for myself. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it on this one. Again, this was one that I was really happy to try out, and I've been curious about them for a long time. I do just, again, love the design of these 8 series Sennheisers, and I do think they're quality, but I don't think that the 820s just don't kind of capture that same magic that the Open 8 series has. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So what about you? You have some 820s? Do you have other 8 series Sennheisers? Do you feel like they've done a good job of transitioning it to a closed back? Is it, or what other closed backs in that kind of price range would you recommend people look at if they are considering an 820? And give us some pros and cons of those if you've got some. As always, I appreciate you being here and taking the time with me, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.